But we're going to start where we always should start, with Arthur. Arthur is ending next month. Next month, February 21st, I believe, is the date that 4 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, are going to drop on the PBS Kids app. And because I'm a child, I have that app on my Roku. So I'm all ready. I'm all ready for the final season of Arthur. It's going to attack my emotions, something fierce. But a couple interesting little, not leaks, because I guess they were formally announced, but a couple little tidbits about this. Because we did talk about Arthur ending. We did talk about that months ago. But I guess the final episode is going to flash forward to like an all grown up situation, like Rugrats, like them. That was the first thing that came to mind. I think the episode is called All Grown Up too, which is funny. And all the Arthur characters are going to be adults. And can I just say, first and foremost, I hope Muffy is broke and unhappy. That is the first thing I want. I hope she is broke and unhappy. I hope they factor that in. But Buster's probably going to be a stoner, but now this is still a kid show at the end of the day. But yeah, the last episode of Arthur is going to focus on them being adults, which I think is exciting. I hope they don't go the spin-off route, and they kind of, take that on in a different way. I kind of hope they don't. But there's also the news too. And I think I don't know if Joe brought this to my attention or I found it on my own. I can't even remember, but there's going to be spin-offs. There's going to be hour-long spin-offs / specials in the future of Arthur.
That's definitely you.
And
I did not know about this till now.
Okay,
so that's the South Park approach kind of thing.
Yeah, Arthur post-COVID, the return of COVID in so many words. Arthur vaccination special. But that was probably the bigger news, though, is that, because it's been announced that it's going to be ending for a while now, but there's going to be spinoffs. They haven't really said what the spinoffs are going to be. I'm not even sure if they know what they're going to be yet or how frequently they're going to take place. But it is interesting developments for the second longest running animated show to The Simpsons. So I think it's The Simpsons, I think it's Arthur, and then I think it's SpongeBob for longest running animated shows. Arthur's been on since 96. What do we think of this development? I know you two are way more grown up with more grown up responsibilities than me and don't latch on to things in the past as if there's some childhood trauma associated to them or whatever. You guys grew up a long time ago and matured, but I'm stoked for this final season of Arthur. I haven't kept up with the later seasons, I'll be completely honest, but this season is taking on a poignant route already, and I'm already excited for it. Joe, what say you about it?
All right, my dog's in the room and he's like crying because I have a piece of pork chop in front of me. But to focus back on Arthur,
good start.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible to see something that I thought was I don't know. It always just felt like Arthur was just never gonna end. It's like The Simpsons to me almost, where it's just even SpongeBob to an extent, where it's man, this has existed ever since I was born. I don't think this is ever gonna stop. And to know that it actually is gonna stop, but they're actually gonna have a creative way to do this whole wrap up where we do get to see Arthur and all these other characters that we've grown up loving. As you were saying, literally grown up adult versions of them, see them in the future. I think that's a perfect way to wrap everything up for fans of the show or people Dom and I who who grew up watching it or knowing about it, and we're just well, I gotta at least tune in for this final episode. That's how I'm looking at it. I haven't kept up with Arthur unless if it's one of those big episodes when they broke down on how a person with ADHD, I think it was, how they visualizing what's going on in their brain constantly. I've only watched episodes like that where they get that creative about it. But yeah, you can count me in. I'm gonna download the app myself and I'm gonna make sure I am definitely watching at least these last 4 episodes, especially that last episode. I gotta know how it ends. And it's cool that even after that they will still do spin-offs. I mean, I was glad to hear that from Steve just now, because to me it was well, I mean, come on. Kids are always going to need Arthur. I think Arthur has done a great job at explaining things almost as good as Fred Rogers did to children. And I think from time to time, we're going to need stuff explained to kids, and PBS has always done an excellent job when it's come to that.
Eloquently stated. Dom, what say you?
I was never the biggest PBS kids, which is weird. Like you'd think that'd be me, but it actually quite wasn't. So, my connection to Arthur is not as strong as you gentlemen, particularly you, Steve. But it's still no. You're right. Joe's right. It's just been around forever, and actually did make me think when I first heard the news. It's like, some days The Simpsons will have to end, if not through traditional means, at least with the end of the world somehow. So it's like we have to envision a world, without these series at some point. And, maybe it'll take a Doctor Who route where, okay, we're going to take like a 20-year break or however long they did, and then they'll pick it up again down the line. But honestly, seeing how the South Park model has worked so far for, the creators there, I actually quite like this as well. Because it gives them time to really condense all their best ideas. I would think condense all their best ideas into like a really good, a longer but more substantive episode. But in terms of lamenting it being on, it just takes me back to a time, personally, when actually specifically I grew up in Catholic school for the first 18 years of life, and in grade school particularly, Arthur was one of those things in rotation. And I noticed, I knew quality when I saw it, because it was always either Bible, cheaply animated movies, or Shrek, or Arthur. And definite like Shrek and Arthur definitely like, okay, I'm noticing a distinct difference here, even with my dumbass kid brain, between that and the Bible stories. So it takes me back to like, CRT TVs up in the corner and all of us gathering around. It's a good time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I wonder too, you bring up a good point. I do wonder if the South Park model played a role into this decision. I'm sure the creators of Arthur, or the brains behind Arthur, did not receive a deal near what Matt and Trey received for these Arthur specials. But I do wonder, and I've thought too, that like with The Simpsons, more so than South Park yet, but I think The Simpsons would have been better served to go to that model a long time ago. I think that Simpsons would have been better served to go to that model a long, long time ago. I remember when the Simpsons movie came out, that there was talk that they were considering, James Brooks and Matt Groening were considering making movies and ending the show. And I thought that would have been an interesting route as well. Because there's something when it's more infrequent that makes it feel more special.
Yeah. I always thought the ending was. I'm sorry, this dog is just being obnoxious right now. I always thought the movie to The Simpsons was gonna be the end to The Simpsons. I always took it as that, and then they just kept going with the show. And I always keep telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, they should have ended it with the movie and just maybe did like their like specials every now and then, or like even you're saying, even just doing movies would have been better, because yeah, like. You just eventually run out of so much material until you really have something to say. And like Simpsons is a 24 episode season show. That's really hard to keep going for long periods of time. South Park, like, that's usually 10, maybe 8 episodes a season. And even now, they're just like, yeah, let's just wait until like we have enough stuff to just make a special. And then we'll wait on seasons and then do seasons eventually. Like the new season of South Park is going to be starting up next month. But the last time we had one was 3 years ago. Like that's how long it's been since a season of South Park. We just had.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah,
wow.
we never had one in 2020, and then 2021 we had all the specials. This year, we'll get finally a new season. The last season to come out was in early 2019.
That's wild.
Wow,
that's wild to think. I saw the trailer at the bar the other day.
Yeah.
I knew they were making a new season.
And to think this was the same production team. That's the same production team featured in the documentary 6 Days to Air. Where it's like, yep, if there's a power outage for like a half day, then this episode is not airing because we're that tight on it, and it's just incredible. So I mean, honestly, that's for the better, probably for the animators and everyone else who has to do the grunt work on that. But and just overall creatively, I would think it'd be better. And it also takes me back to SpongeBob as well. Shows that are just going on forever and could just take a break.